Hello students, welcome to Molecular Biology part 14. The concept is tRNA, the adapter molecule. A tRNA, here the tRNA full form already you know very well. The T represents transverse RNA. Transverse RNA. So a tRNA or transverse RNA transports activated amino acid from the amino acid pool. It is present in cytoplasm amino acid pool to the ribosome where it recognizes a specific triplet code or codon of mRNA. tRNA is an adapter molecule that one hand reads the code, that is triplet codon, and on other hand binds to the specific amino acid. That reason why the tRNA is considered as adapter molecule. So why the tRNA is called as adapter molecule? Because it one hand or one end reads the code or codon and other hand binds to the specific amino acid. That is reason why the tRNA is considered as adapter molecule. So each amino acid has its own tRNA. So tRNA is not common for all 20 amino acids. Already we know that. So 20 amino acids present in our body. 20 amino acids are present in our body. So each amino acid has its own tRNA. That means the 20 amino acids having their own tRNA. That means there are 20 different types of tRNA present. So each amino acids having its own tRNA. Now tRNA form just like mRNA from the DNA template. How this tRNA is formed? We are discussed about the transcription, that is formation of mRNA we discussed. Same like formation of mRNA, the tRNA is also formed based on the DNA template. So already we said that the tRNA is formed. tRNA, it is formed, RNA formed like how the mRNA is formed. That means tRNA is also formed from DNA template. DNA template. So now after its formation, tRNA formation, this single stranded structure of DNA twisted and folded over itself and appears to be a clover leaf shaped structure. So this clover leaf shaped structure appears in two-dimensional form. It appears in two-dimensional form as a clover leaf structure. So let's see that a form of that. So this is a clover leaf structure. It is proposed by Hole. Already we are given the same diagram in the previously when we are studied about RNA world. There we are mentioned, and there we are given the reason why this tRNA form as a clover leaf structure due to presence of unusual base pairs are present there. So due to that it forms. So now this tRNA having amino acid, that means attachment site, amino acid attachment site, and a T loop, D loop, as well as anticodon region are the different sites in the tRNA. So this cloverleaf model is occurs. It is in two-dimensional form. In two-dimensional form, it appears as a clover leaf model. And this tRNA in three-dimensional form, it appears to be inverted L-shaped structure, and it has a main loops and a short stem. All parts have a specific functions. So this clover leaf or maybe inverted shape. So inverted L shape we can observe in the three-dimensional. Once see this, so it appears like a inverted L. It is L and it is inverted L shape. So in three-dimensional form, this tRNA appears inverted L shaped, and it has a main loops three main loops. What are the three main loops? Already we said that one is T loop, and another one is the D loop, and anticodon loop. All the three main loops, and all the parts having the specific functions. Just now we said that all the parts are having the specific function. Now let's see the structure of that clover leaf model of this tRNA. Now the stem at the third end always has CCA sequence in all tRNA. In all tRNAs. Why we are using all tRNA? Because each amino acid having its own tRNA. So in all these tRNAs, the stem, third end of this tRNA molecule is called stem. It is always having the sequence CCA, and this third end is the binding site for the specific amino acid. Now the fifth end of tRNA always has a guanine base. It is always having guanine G on the fifth end. Guanine is present on the fifth end. Now T loop or T arm. So it is helpful to recognize the amino acyl tRNA synthetase enzyme. So it is helpful to recognize amino acyl tRNA synthetase enzyme. And another part, that is D loop or maybe D arm, it helps in the binding of tRNA with ribosomes. So it is helpful to bind the tRNA with ribosome molecule. And the lowermost part, that is called as the anticodon loop, has three base sequences called as anticodons. So these anticodons are complementary to the triplet code or maybe codon of mRNA. So anticodons are complementary to the triplet code of the mRNA. For example, if a triplet code at mRNA is AUG, then the anticodon sequence at tRNA would be U U A C. So that means it is both anticodons are complementary to the codon present on the mRNA. The amino acid carried by tRNA would be methionine. Methionine, since AUG codon of mRNA codes for amino acid methionine. So this UAC on this tRNA carried the methionine. Why? Because AUG codon of mRNA codes for amino acid methionine. That's why the tRNA anticodons carries the specific amino acid that is attached to the third end of the tRNA molecule. There are different types of tRNA, each carrying a specific amino acid. Because of synonymous codons, number of tRNAs is more than the number of amino acids. So number of amino acids are 20. Because of these synonymous codons, the number of tRNAs is more than the number of amino acids. So we are already said that degenerate, the codons or the triplet codons are degenerate genetic code characters we are studied. That means one amino acid is represents with more than one triplet codon, more than one triplet codon is called degeneracy. So that synonymous codons, the degeneracy of codons, the number of tRNAs is more than the number of amino acids. Because we know that in genetic code table we can find that some amino acids having only one triplet codon, some are having two triplet codons represent. Suppose AUG, it represents with only one triplet codon, like that. And some amino acids having three triplet codons, and some are having six triplet codons. Triplet codons are six. So that means six triplet codons represent only one amino acid. Amino acid. So already we know that there are 64 triplet codons. In that 61 codons represent the amino acid. 61 codons represent this 20 amino acids. That means tRNA are also having that many number of 61 number of tRNAs, and which are represent the amino acid. So due to synonymous codons or degeneracy of the codons, the number of tRNAs is more than the number of amino acids. Now, each tRNA has a specific anticodon and carries a specific amino acid. Anticodon is a specific for each tRNA and carries a specific amino acid. So there are no tRNA for the stop codons. So already we mentioned the total number of codons are 64. So in this 64 codons, only 61 codons are represent amino acids. Only 61 represent amino acids, and only remaining three codons are not specified for any amino acid. They are not represent, or they are not specify any any amino acid. So such codons we are called as the stop codons. Stop codons. So these stop codons do not have any tRNA. So tRNA is not represents any stop codons. So let's recollect the brief of this tRNA molecule. So this tRNA is called as the adapter molecule. Why it is called adapter molecule? Because one hand it is called as the third end. It is a site for amino acid attachment. One hand, and another hand it has the anticodon. That's why it is called as the adapter molecule. That is point number one. So next we can observe the structure of this molecule in two dimensions as well as three dimensions. In two dimensions, it is appears as a clover leaf structure. So this photograph is the example for clover leaf structure. And in three-dimensional structure, it is appears in the inverted L shape. Now, in clover leaf structure, if you are observed, it has a different parts. That is a third end, that is a stem region. It is called as the stem part. Third end, it is considered as stem part, T loop, D loop, and anticodon are the four main parts, main sites. And in all these sites are having a specific functions. So stem part, that is third end, is a site for attaching the amino acid, and it has a code CCA, third end. And opposite to that is the five end. This five end is always consists ends with the guanine. Guanosine is present at the fifth end, guanosine base. Now, and D loop or D arm, and it represents this dihydrouridine. It is unusual base pair. So due to presence of this dihydrouridine, the tRNA molecule become folded and form as a double this clover leaf structure or inverted L shaped structure, D loop. And this D loop already we are mentioned that this D loop is helpful for attachment of the ribosome during translation. And the T loop, so it is consists thymidine and pseudouridine. It is also unusual base pair, that is a psi. The psi symbol here represent that pseudouridine and cytidine. So these are base pairs are present at this loop. Due to presence of this pseudouridine in the T loop and dihydrouridine in the D loop, it forms this clover leaf structure or maybe inverted L-shaped structure. Okay, and this T loop is helpful for to recognize the amino acid tRNA synthetase enzyme. Now, another site that is called as the anticodon, it is essential. This anticodon, suppose here the anticodon represent that GAA. So this anticodon is formed to the codon present on the mRNA. That means GAA is anticodon. Then what is the codon of mRNA? CUU. It is the codon present on the mRNA. So that means anticodon sequence is complementary to the triplet code of the mRNA. Okay, so this we are discussed till now, and here the main important point you need to remember why it is called as the adapter molecule. Why it is called as adapter molecule? Already we are clearly mentioned that one end it is helpful for attachment site of amino acid, and another end is the anticodon collects the coding from mRNA. Based on that, it collects the amino acid from the amino acid pool. So both the ends are connected to the connected. One end is connected to amino acid, another end connected to the mRNA. So that's why it is considered as adapter molecule. We know adapter, cell phone charger having adapter. So if you have a wire, that means adapter is connected to the switchboard one end and another end is connected to the wire which is attached to our mobile. So both the ends are connected, adapter. So here also the tRNA, the one end is attached to amino acid at the third end, and another end anti-codon loop. It is complementary to the mRNA. So that's why it is considered as the adapter molecule. The next concept is structure of ribosomes. In prokaryotes, ribosomes are distributed throughout the cell. So it is present throughout the cell. And in eukaryotes, ribosomes are located in cytoplasm. And some of the ribosomes are also attached to the parts of that nucleus. Suppose endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. So it is present in the cell cytoplasm only. So in this, sometimes the ribosomes are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. Such endoplasmic reticulum is called as RER, rough endoplasmic reticulum. That roughness is due to presence of this ribosome. So endoplasmic reticulum is of two types, RER and SER, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum, that roughness or ribosomal endoplasmic reticulum. It is due to presence of ribosomes. Now, ribosomes are made up of 50% proteins and 50% RNA. These RNAs, as they are a part of ribosome structure, one large and one small subunit, make up the ribosome, and it exits as a two units when it is in an inactive state. So ribosome consists one large and one small subunit make up the ribosome. So ribosome consists one large and small subunit. But in inactive state, these two subunits are present as a two separate units. They are not joined together. They are joined together. Small and large subunits are joined only in active state, not in inactive state. In inactive state, these subunits are present as a separate units. Once this translation is complete, these subunits are dissociated. So when they are active, so the ribosomes are active during translation process. So at the time of translation process, they are active by joining these two units, large and small units, to form subunits of the ribosomes. Once the translation process is complete, the two subunits are dissociate, separates. So when they are present separately, that stage is called inactive state. When these two subunits are joined together, that is active state, and it is involved in the translation. Let's see this photograph. It is very simple. And ribosomes. So bound ribosomes, that means some of the ribosomes are bound to the endoplasmic reticulum. So this part is the ER, endoplasmic reticulum. So some of the ribosomes are attached to the parts of the cell. That means particularly endoplasmic reticulum. So that ribosomes are bound ribosomes, and some are free ribosomes. They are present freely in the cytoplasm. Free ribosomes. Now, these ribosomes are composed of or consists of rRNA as well as proteins. rRNA and proteins are present or composed in these ribosomes. And these ribosomes, when they are in active form, so this is active form. When they are active, that means they are made up of with a large unit and a small unit. And when they are in inactive form, this small unit is dissociates from this, separates. So only they are united, joined together only in active state, that too at the time of translation process. So after completion of translation, these two subunits are dissociates and present as a two separate units. The size of ribosomes is expressed in terms of their sedimentation rates during centrifugation in Swedberg units. So the size of ribosomes is expressed in Swedberg units. So on which basis? Based on the sedimentation rates during centrifugation. Sedimentation. So it is otherwise saying that the sedimentation rate at which ribosomes settle down during sedimentation. Sedimentation rate at which ribosomes are settled down in the test tube, that we will call as the sedimentation. Suppose if you are take a buttermilk in a glass, gas glass. So if you kept that gas glass without distribution, after some time you can observe the butter particles settled at the bottom of the glass. On the top of that, water is present. So that we will call sedimentation, settled down at the bottom of the test tube or maybe glass. So that sedimentation rate, how much time it takes to settle down during centrifugation. Based on that rate, it is given as a one unit, that is a Swedberg unit. So sedimentation rate for a particle of a given size and shape measures how fast the particles settle. Size and shape, it measures how fast the particles are settled. That means within how much of time they are settled based on that. Now, this Swedberg unit is non-metric unit. So metric units are SI units. It is not non-metric unit. And Swedberg is equal, that means actually a measure of time, and it is equal to the 1 into 10 to the power of minus 13 seconds. So 1 Swedberg unit is equal to 1 into 10 to the power of minus 13 seconds. So that means if you are mentioned the ribosome, that is suppose 70 S ribosome. So S here indicates the Swedberg unit. That means 70 into 10 to the power of minus 13 seconds, minus 13 seconds required to settle down during sedimentation. then that ribosomes are called as the 70S ribosomes. And 80S ribosomes, that means it requires 80 into 10 to the power of minus 13 seconds to settle down. So the size, shape, measures of these ribosomes measuring based on this Sedgwick unit. One Sedgwick unit is equal to 10 to the power of minus 13 seconds. So if you mention that ribosome size is 70S size, so that size is based on sedimentation rate, that is 70 into 10 to the power of minus 13 seconds is the sedimentation rate of ribosomes, that is equal to its size. A prokaryotic ribosome is 70S. So just now I said 70S, that means 70 into 10 to the power of minus 13 seconds. That s equal to 1 into 10 to the power of minus 13 seconds. So 70 into. So that is the sedimentation time rate of these ribosomes of these prokaryotes. And this 70, yes, ribosome is composed with the two subunits. No? So now it is composed of a small subunit, that is 30S subunit, and a large 50S subunit. So this 70S ribosome, 70S ribosome is composed with 30S and 50S subunits. So 30S is a small subunit and large subunit is 50S. So now you may have a doubt, then both together it become 80S. But you are saying that 70S is the prokaryotic ribosome size, 70S ribosome. But when you are measuring the both the small and large subunit, it become 80S. Then where is the difference of 10? Yes. Why this is different? So remember that. So you are all using a pen and it has a cap. Separate the pen and cap and take the measurements of that pen as well as cap. For example, your pen, it is 10 centimeters, and cap of that pen, it is around 3 centimeters separately. Now after inserting that cap and take the entire length of that pen, then what happens? It become 12 centimeters. Why? Because when you are keep the cap onto the pen, some part of the pen is also inserted into that cap now. So that is the reason why. So when both are united, the some part of ribosome it may present inside it. Okay, so that is the reason. Now again, the 50S subunit, the largest subunit consists of 31 ribosomal proteins. Already we said no. Already we said that the ribosomes are consists of RNA as well as proteins. So now in 50S ribosome subunit, that means in 50S subunit consists 31 ribosomal proteins and 5S rRNA and 23S rRNA present in the large subunit. So let's see that. So here it is mentioned. And similarly, in in small unit, there are 21 ribosomal proteins as well as 16 srRNA present in the 30S subunit. So that is represent. It is the ribosome. It has the larger subunit and smaller subunit. And this larger subunit is made up of 5S rRNA and 23S rRNA. These together form as 50S subunit. Okay. Now this is 5s and it is 23s. And now along with this 5s as well as 3s, it is also consists the 31 ribosomal proteins in 50s subunit. And comes to the smaller unit, that is 30s subunit. It consists 16s rRNA as well as 21 ribosomal proteins. So simply we can say that in 70 years ribosomes of that 70s ribosomes of the prokaryotes consists larger subunit 50s and smaller subunit 30s. And this 50s is made up of 5s, 5s plus and 23 years. And 30 years consists only one another unit, that is 16 years. And this 50 years subunit consists 31 ribosomal protein, and this 30 years consists 21 ribosomal proteins. Let's see, the eukaryotic ribosome is 80 years. So that means 80 into 10 to the power of minus 13 seconds. It is composed of small 40s and large 60s subunits. And 60s subunit consists of 49 ribosomal proteins here in the diagram, 49 ribosomal units, and also it consists 5s RNA, 5.8 s RNA, and 28 s RNA. Now, the 40s subunit, 40s subunit, smaller subunit, consists 33 ribosomal proteins and 18 s RNA unit is present in the 40s subunit. So let's see the entire assemblage of the 70s and 80s ribosomes in respect to organisms. So 70s ribosome we can see where we will see 70 is we will see in the prokaryotes, this 70s in prokaryotes. So how it is assemblage? So it is assembled with 31. That means it has two units, smaller and larger subunit. Larger subunit is 50s and smaller subunit is 30s. And now larger subunit it is assembled with 23s RNA unit as well as 5s RNA unit. So that means this 23s unit consists 2900 bases and 5s RNA consists 120 bases. All these plus 31 proteins. Ribosomal proteins assembled to form a large subunit. And similarly, the smaller subunit in prokaryote assembled with 16s, it consists 1540 bases plus 21 ribosomal proteins assembled to form this 30s smaller subunit. And these both are joined to form 70s at active state. It is formed only during active state. We can observe this structure only in active state. So once the transcription is complete, these two are present in this form, two separate units, and they are united to form subunits in a ribosome, assembled ribosome. Assembled ribosome we can observe only in active state, that is at the time of translation. And similarly in eukaryotes, the assemblage. So in eukaryote 80s ribosome and it is assembled with the 60s and 40s, and 60s subunit is assembled with 28S as well as 5S and 5.8S ribosomes and 49 ribosomal proteins or 50 ribosomal proteins assembled to form this 60S largest subunit in the eukaryotes. And similarly, smaller subunit 40S consists 18S RNA unit and 33 ribosomal proteins and form the 40S subunit. And both the subunit is assembled only during active state, that is during translation, and otherwise they are dissociate and present as a two separate subunits. And it is a simple representation of this prokaryote 70S ribosome and eukaryote 70S ribosome, a simple representation. There are two essential roles of ribosomes during translation. Ribosomes play a essential role during translation. That first one, ribosomes provide surface for binding of mRNA in the groove of smaller subunit. So it provides the surface of binding of mRNA. That is essential role one. And second, since a large subunit of ribosome has an enzyme peptidyl transferase on its P site, it helps in joining amino acid by forming peptide bonds. So remember that a large subunit having a site that is called as P site. That P site consists peptidyl transferase enzyme. This enzyme helps to join the amino acids by forming peptide bonds. So a ribosome has an mRNA binding site, and there are three tRNA binding sites we can observe in a ribosomes. So the mRNA binding site we are consider as the anticodon loop is the mRNA binding site. Anticodon is the mRNA binding site. And the tRNA binding sites are A, P and E, three sites. A, P and E are the three sites, tRNA binding site. A site, it consists amino acyl tRNA. Amino acyl tRNA. That means new amino acid will comes on to the A site. And the P site, it is a peptidyl tRNA. So it is considered as peptidyl transferase enzyme. So when a new amino acid will comes onto the A, already present amino acid will pull onto the P site and a new one comes here, and then peptide bond is formed. And again a new amino acid brings here, and from this P site the exist site, that is E is the existing site. So from this P site the amino acid pulls onto the E site, then it become vacant. Then the amino acid present on this A site will move on to the P and it become vacant. New amino acid comes again, and again peptide bond is formed here between these two amino acids. Then again it is goes to the exit site, then P become vacant. When it will come to the exit site, automatically from A site the amino acid is come on to the P, then A vacant, then new amino acid will come. Like that the polypeptide chain is growing during translation process. So that translation process we will discuss next video.